Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I am here for my weekly Facebook Live. And if you're catching me later, you're catching me either on Facebook for the next 30 days, or you're catching it on YouTube, because I do load these onto my YouTube channel, Just a Little Ink. And so I hope that if you are watching this particular project I'm going to share today will inspire you. I'm going to go ahead and flip that camera over and we'll just get right to it. And so I'm going to be sharing this cute little notebook, and I found these. You can use anything. I'm kind of sharing a couple ideas because you could use these little memo pads as well. I'd found these little sticky notebooks at Walmart on clearance, and thought they would make really great little gifts. And so they're not real big. These, of course, would be just a little bit thinner. They're not heavy, they're just a little more bulky. But I thought it'd be fun to alter them to make them a cute gift. And the Impressions Abloom Die set, I keep mine on magnetic sheets. They do not come this way. Are the perfect, I think, option to create something fun. Now, I'm also going to put, and I'll share with you kind of some options. I'm using a retired hole punch that Stampin' Up had years ago. It's one that kind of creates these mushroom type square spaced out tabs. And then they also cut a little slit so you can slide them onto it. I'm going to use that, but there is a way, if you have an 1/8" hole punch, that you could do them that way. This particular notebook kind of uses that at the top of it anyway. The other thing, I did do a little looking, and you can find on Amazon, probably Walmart, your craft store, mushroom hole punches or notebook hole punches to find something that might be similar. But we'll kind of just go into really quick the things I'm using. So I'm using some of the Florals in Bloom Designer Series paper because I wanted to use in colors for this. I'm using all of the current, the 2025 to 2027 in color groups. The other side of this particular paper coordinates with a suite, what is, the Florals in Bloom suite, and there's even a scrapbooking kit that kind of coordinates with this, and there is a special starting on the 3rd, which I do believe is next Tuesday, the 3rd of June, which is a BOGO sale, so buy one, get one of the current suites that are in the online store, whether those are online exclusives or out of our annual catalog. And this particular suite is one of those. And so the dies I'm using are not part of that, but there are some floral dies that kind of coordinate, well, not kind of, they do coordinate with this particular suite. And so that if that's something of interest to you, not only is it the full suites that are that way, but all the products that are within those suites are buy one, get one as well. So kind of some cool stuff there. I'm using again some of, well, all of the in colors from this particular year. I'm using some Timid Tiger and just scrap pieces. I will put the measurements in my blog, justalittleink.com. And if you don't currently have a demonstrator, and I would love to be your demonstrator, and you can shop anytime in my online store at justalittleink.stampinup.net. I'm also using Strawberry Slush, some Darling Duckling, some of our Secret Sea, of course, our cloud cover, which is what this particular print is, and I'm also using a piece of cardstock that's that same color, and then Garden Green to go along for our leaves. And so I've already cut all those pieces so you don't have to watch me do all of that part of it. And then I'm going to be using just the words from the Notes and Totes bundle. I really liked the Just a Note because I thought that worked out real well. And so we're going to use some Secret C ink on that particular thing. So let me kind of pull out these things and I'll show you the couple different methods that I did to get this going. What I did is I used my ruler just to figure out how far down did I start this hole, and I realized that it's about 1/4 of an inch on both sides. And so what I did, just to help me out, get it up here where you can see it, is on my paper I lined up to the 1/4 inch mark, just a little mark, and it won't matter because it's going to get covered up. And then I'm going to need to do the same thing, because I told you I'm using a piece of cloud cover for the back just of our cardstock. And so I'm going to come in again, just grab just a little tick mark on the cardstock at that 1/4 inch, and then I'll know where to start and stop my punching. And so then I'll pull in my punch, and there again, I've told you there are numerous places where you can find things that are at least similar to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up on the back side, because for me that is a bigger deal than line up my, if I can get it in here. Yeah, I told you I was doing it that way. And then, gotta love it, huh? There is a line on this particular punch, and I'm pretty sure I'm there. We'll find out in a second. No, not quite. So, but then I'll continue on. So we'll see if I did well or if we're going to be redoing this one. And then I need to come down just far enough to grab the last one. Maybe not. So I'm not sure I caught it quite right. We'll find out in a second. What you would do then is line it up into here. No, I'm off. It's close. Good thing I have an extra one here. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. So you'd line it up into like so. What I'm going to do is come back. I don't know what I was doing before. But you'll love it when you don't remember. I'm going to come back. We're going to do it on the other side just because I want to make sure that I've got this figured out before I go messing up another piece. So I'm pretty sure I lined it up into here. So like there we go. I did it this way. So I stuck it up where that piece was on the other side and then turned it around. So then when I am coming into here, I can know that I can go one more. And like so. So then I'll know that when I put it on there, I can get it lined up with all those parts. So I'm going to go ahead and line up and do it the right way on the other side. We'll use that piece for something else. So I'm going to line up all my pieces. So I'm just come in here and go this way, because for me, this is how I did the, I'll show you here. So I'm going to line up just using the tabs that way, because for me, I think that's going to work better. And then when I'm on here, I'll know that this will line up better than what I was doing before. Yep, much better. So ignore what I told you before. You've never done that, right? So I'm going to take my pieces. I could just use that, but what's almost easier is to line it up, take your pencil and just do some marks right in the centers of all of those little rings. Did this a few days ago, so it never helps any. So then I can make sure that when I'm lining it up on my grid, I'm coming into the center of those. And I'll move it down. Okay, like there. And then we're going to keep coming on this side. Like that. You'll get a lot of little tabs that come punching out. Now, I told you that there's another method that you can use, and I kind of pulled out this extra, just some scrap paper. What I did is I did the same thing. I put little marks along it, and then you can take your hole punch out where those lines are all the way across, and then use your paper snips to come in and snip into the center of all of them. And you can kind of create your own tab just with circles. The only thing I found with this particular notepad is that with it being double ringed, it doesn't want to slide as nicely, but you can then come into here. You can see how it just slides around that. They just don't want to open as easily because of those double rings. But if you did the same concept with this, it would easily work because these are just circles. So anyway, all that to say, let's get this out of the way and let me kind of step through how I put this cute little notepad together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slide this into here. So they'll kind of snap into that. I went just a little off on my measurements, so it may just be a teeny bit different, and I'll do a little trimming and we'll make it work. But what I did then is I opened it up and I put glue on here. So I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I want not too much, but I want to line it up in here. And then all I did was to make sure that I had enough to kind of get a little bit into these open tabs. And then I'll put my glue away. And then what I could do is easily just fold it back over. And because multi-purpose liquid glue gives you some wiggle room, you can then kind of line it up with your cover, like so. And then trim your ends so that then you can come around and grab. So I'm just going to kind of come go this way. I went on the back side, so we're backwards, but it won't matter because we're making our own cover. So then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to line up those little tabs. This one I put on better with my punching, but it's the same concept. You're going to open it up. You're going to grab your liquid glue. You're going to run a line of glue along it, and then make sure you get just a little bit in those tabs so that when you close it, you can line it up, slide it down so it covers the whole front cover. And the truth is, if you wanted to not worry too much, you have 1/3 option on this one. I'll kind of talk about that in a second. So again, I'm going to open it up. If you had a corner rounder, you could use that to cover or corner these, but I found it's easiest to just use your scissors and trim them off. So that way I've got my front and my back covered. And then to finish, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to stamp first, only because I don't want to forget where I'm lining this. So I'm taking my just a note. I'm going to come here. I'm going to stick this one just a little higher, gives me a little more room for what I'm doing. That's the only stamping I'm doing on this. Then I've got all these pieces. I told you I'd cut them out already. And I'm going to use my I am using multi-purpose liquid glue. I stuck it in a little tiny fine tip glue bottle so that it's easier for me to control. And I've cut extra centers. And I use my take your pick tool with a putty tip because it just works real well for lining up and picking up those pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble my flowers. I need the small circle center for these two flowers. And I use Secret C for the centers. And then I'm going to put the larger one on this Timid Tiger. So I'll line it up there. So I've got my three leaves, and then we can get putting things together. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of liquid glue in the back. And it won't really matter, but I'm going to come in this corner here, line it up. Then I'm going to take this yellow one, so Darling Duckling. I'm going to line it up, and it's going to overlap just a little bit, coming up this way. And while it's still wet, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive on the back of a leaf and poke it underneath while it's still easy and able to be done. Press. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the strawberry slush. I'm going to come here and kind of twist my flower how I want it. I don't want this wider section to overlap quite like that. So we're going to come down, grab it all on the front of the notebook. So I'm going to grab a leaf and stick it here, kind of up, and then while it's still just a little wet before things have dried, grab a little there, and I'm going to overlap underneath so I get a double leaf coming here. And then if I press, I can get it where I've got that cute little notebook all ready to go. And the fun part about these were little note tabs that can be used in your catalog. So super quick, super easy. And again, I don't know if you can find those in your Walmart or not, but they were on clearance in mine. I'm going to go ahead and flip back to my video screen. Thanks again for joining me. Just as an FYI, for those who are interested in trying out being a demonstrator, or you just want that great discount, the joint special that's going on with an extra, I couldn't even tell you exactly the number of dollars, it's at least an extra $30. All the details are on my website, justalittlelink.stampinup.net, but joint special ends on the 31st, so you've got just a few more days. Thanks again for joining me. I'll catch you again next Thursday, 2 o'clock Arizona time. Have a great rest of your day.